What's going on, growers? James Prigioni coming to you live from Jersey. Today, I want to show you how to tie and prune your tomatoes. I believe this technique will change your life when it comes to growing tomatoes. I know it did for me. Let's go! Right here is a tomato trellis that I've just built. And as you can see, we've got these strings tied to the top about 8 or 9 feet high, and then run all the way down to the tomato. We're then attaching our tomato to this string. The idea is that we're growing vertically, saving space, avoiding fungal issues, avoiding pest issues, disease issues, and also making it a lot easier for us to harvest. So what we're doing is we're pruning these tomatoes to grow up a single stem. I've got a new technique that I can't wait to show you this year, so I'm really excited about it. Before I get into the technique that I'm going to be using this year to tie up my tomatoes, I want to share with you a few of the techniques that I've used in the past, and also share with you one super important thing. This method for tying up tomatoes, for pruning and staking, this is for indeterminate varieties of tomatoes. This is not for your determinate varieties, ones like your Ruckers. The Ruckers tomatoes and the other determinate varieties are going to produce all their fruit all at one time, and then they're not going to produce any more fruit again. That's perfect for things like canning and for making pasta sauces, but not for what we're doing. We want tomatoes that are going to produce all year. Those are your indeterminate varieties. So up until the frost kills them, they're going to grow and continue to produce fruit. So we want them to grow up one single stem. These things are going to get massive. This year, I'm tying tomatoes up a string like I just showed you, but in the past, I've always just tied my tomatoes to a stake, like a piece of bamboo right here that I just get locally. I've got a friend that has it, and I just grab it for them for free. So what we do is we put the stake in next to the tomato. We want to put the stake in before we put the tomato in. Then we just prune the tomato so it's growing up one single stem, and then tie this to the stake. So what we use to tie the tomato to the stake is important. We don't want to use a thin piece of string because that can cut into the tomato. If you want to go cheap like I have in the past, just cut a piece of cotton shirt that you have, and then just tie that to your tomato. What you want to do is first tie it to your stake around like this. Make sure you get a pretty nice tight tie to the stake because you don't want it sliding up and down on you. So we'll tie it tight to the stake like that, and then we'll take this and just tie it around the tomato and then back to the stake like this. What this is going to do is make it nice and strong, but we're not tying a knot around the tomato because we don't want to squeeze the tomato and prevent it from expanding in the future. So that's one way to do it, one easy way, one cheap way. If you want to make it a little easier on you, what I do now sometimes, or what I did last year actually, was I got this tomato Velcro. So this stuff is pretty cool. I got it in off season one year, and I got it for super cheap, so I picked up like 5 things of it, but I'm not really even using it anymore. And this is the same technique, basically what you're doing here, but you don't have to worry about cutting the string. You could just take this Velcro, put it around the tomato, and tie it to your stake just like this. So the first year I did this, the second year I did this, and now I'm switching things up even more. When it comes to growing your tomatoes up a stake, I've had good luck in the past, but there's been a few issues that I'm trying to avoid. I think that's why the string is going to work perfect. So one of the main issues I've had is pushing these stakes actually deep enough into the ground to make them strong. Because these tomatoes are going to grow like 8 or 10 feet up. Once they get tall and heavy, then the stakes seem to try to start bending over like this. And it looks really messy where you have just stakes leaning over one on the other. So I think the string is going to help me avoid that. So before I move you over to the string, I wanted to show you this tomato that we were working on. You'll notice, like I mentioned, we want it growing up one top. So we want to remove the suckers. This right here is a sucker. You'll notice on top where it's unfolding, there's even some flowers coming there. And this top is unfolding. So we want one main stem that it grows up. So that means we only want one top. So we have to remove this top. This top is already bigger than I want it to be to remove it. We want to make sure we can remove the tops with our hands. We don't want to be cutting them off. So if I move to the tomato plant that's right next to me here, then I'll show you how we could just really properly be removing them with our hands. So this one right here, we're going to show, this is the top of the tomato here. There's an additional top right here that's trying to unfold. We want to remove that. That's the sucker. So we'll take that off with our fingers. Just clip that right off. And then if we move down the plant, wherever you see these crotches, a lot of times the suckers will want to come out. So when they're that young and that small, that's when we want to remove them. Because if we continue to remove all these suckers, the plant is going to continue to grow up one single stem, and we'll just keep following it up. It'll show basically 2 fan leaves and then a fruit set, 2 fan leaves and then a fruit set. So we'll keep getting fruit going all the way up the stem. Even though I've had success growing my tomatoes up the stakes in the past, I'm still not happy with it. I know that me and Tuck can get better, and I think this system will help us a lot. It'll make it easier on us. I think it'll give us bigger harvests because our plants won't be so stressed out from leaning over and everything that comes with that all the time. So let me grab some of these peas because I bet Tuck wants a few, and I also wanted to stop and grab a little snack. Tuck, want a little snack, boy? Tucky, I know he's around here somewhere. He's always hanging out in the shade and stuff at this time because it gets pretty hot. So he's digging holes like usual, but today he started to dig a hole underneath the blueberry bush, so that wasn't cool. We didn't want that. But when Tuck is snacking on this, I'm gonna go over and grab some raspberries because those are so good. So we'll let him have that. And I'm just gonna grab a couple raspberries over here to show you one of his holes too. This is a variety of raspberry that I'm keeping. Another ever-bearing raspberry that I'm just focusing on that spring harvest. And you can see the size of the hole that Tuck dug under there. So this guy likes to cool himself off. So he's like scattered these throughout the garden. Probably not a good thing, but you know, that's life. And he enjoys himself and we have fun out here too. Let me bring you over and show you though this technique that I'm super, super excited about and actually go into detail of just how we're tying these tomatoes up this year. The first method I want to show you for tying these tomatoes to a string has to do with only just using this string here. So if you're going to just use a string for tying your tomatoes, you want to make sure that you've got some twine. So the twine is important because you can see how stringy this twine is here. The tomato is the same way. It's got those little strings and hairs on the stem. So I think that it kind of helps grip it better. There's almost this level of like friction or something that's created where it grips up on itself. So if you're gonna use a string, what you wanna do is take the string and tie it around the base of this tomato. We wanna make sure that we're not tying it tight around the base though. We don't wanna strangle the tomato. So it's a nice loose knot here. Just like that. You see, we got a nice gap there. Then we're gonna twist this around the tomato. So I'm just gonna go under this leaf here, work my way up. And we're not gonna twist this thing, you know, 1,000 times around the base of the tomato. It's gonna continue to be twisted as it goes up, so it's gonna get some strength as it moves up. So this is also better to do if the tomato isn't so large, but I'm just doing it for demonstration purposes for you guys. Then we'll go around here, up here. And then we'll just continue this pattern where we're just twisting. And you'll see as we move down the stem that it's not twisted in 1,000 spots, but that's gonna show good strength. And then as we move up, we'll see that it's not super, super tight, but it doesn't have to be super tight because we need to make sure we're continuing to wrap it around. But this is a good strength right there. You can see as the wind blows, it's gonna hold the tomato up just like that. But this isn't the actual technique that I'm using this year. I'm doing something much easier, much more efficient, and I think much better. I'm using these tomato clips. So let me show you how to use these. They're so simple, can be done with one hand. We're just gonna take this clip, and the back locks into the string like that. It holds it, and then we can just take one hand and clip it closed like that. So convenient, and it locks in so it doesn't slide up and down the string. Then if we want to take it off, we can just unclip it with one hand too. So nice, so efficient, so simple. So just like the other tomato, we have this string trellis to the top, and instead of tying this around the base of our tomato and twisting it, we're going to use these clamps. One reason I don't want to twist it around the tomato is these tomatoes can get really heavy, and we don't want to girdle and strangle the tomato. So we're going to pull the string down pretty tight. We're going to clip that string in the back, just like that, and then put it around the base of the tomato. Just snap it in. And these clips, they lock in the back so it keeps the clip from moving up and down in the string. So we're gonna move up another 6 inches or so and just follow the same thing. And what I'm gonna do is, I like to put these clips basically right underneath one of these fan leaves because they're gonna, the weight of that fan leaf might lean on it and kind of help hold it up. And one thing I wanted to show you is as we move up, this base, and the plant continues growing like this, this fan leaf right here, at some point it's going to drop down to about 90 degrees. Right now it's at a sharper angle, so we don't want to put this clip right here and keep that fan leaf from dropping down. So we want to put the clip just right below that leaf after we attach to the string, making sure that as this leaf goes down and forms more of a 90-degree angle, this clip can help hold it up. So you'll notice down here, this leaf, as I move down, see these leaves are more of a 90-degree angle. That's what's gonna happen typically more times, so we don't wanna prevent that from happening. You'll notice though, like how quick and easy that was. Let me bring you over to another one right here. So as these continue to grow up, like this one, you can see that I've put some clips too at the bottom. It's so easy to come out here and just take this off. You know, these are our suckers. Take this next sucker off, grab our clip, put it around the string, and then go right around the base of our tomato. So that is so quick and so easy to do, and we're gonna continue to do that. Another thing I love about the clips is as this plant starts to get really heavy, we'll also be able to drop it down a little bit because we put extra string at the top. So if we drop it down a little bit, that'll bring the fruit to a nicer level for harvesting and allow our plants to technically get even taller because we'll save some space. And these clips, when you drop the plant down, sometimes they'll lose some of the weight, so there's no weight actually bearing on the clip. You could take the clip off the bottom and use it back at the top. So I think that's super cool, and it's super efficient that you can reuse them. They're not that expensive either. I think it was only like $16 or $15 for 150 of them. And if you want to get them in even bigger bulk, they're cheaper. I'll put an Amazon link so you guys know which ones to get. I bought 2 different kinds to try out which ones I like better. One kind I really like. The other kind I didn't like it as much. It felt cheaper made, and they didn't unsnap as easily. So I think this is really the good one. I'll put the link in for you. There's a few more things I want to mention before I let you go. One is, if you're gonna go with the prune stake method or tie your tomatoes to a string, any way you're trellising them, and you live in a super hot climate like I don't know, Florida or Texas, somewhere where it's really hot, make sure you leave a couple of those suckers next to your fruit, because these suckers can shade out the fruit and make it so it doesn't get some blistering and doesn't get some sun scald on the fruit, which you don't want. But if you live in a location like me, don't worry about that as much, because you want those tomatoes to get a lot of sun, because that helps increase the vitamin C. Another thing I want to mention is a little tip, a little secret when it comes to identifying hornworms on your tomatoes. So now's the time of year when some of the pests are going to start coming out. You want to make sure you're on top of them and getting those hornworms before they do any damage. A little trick. Right here we have a dill plant. So this dill plant is going to attract the hornworms most likely before your tomato plants. So you put a couple dill plants in and then check these regularly, because on the tomato plants, the tomato hornworms are really hard to find, but they're quite easy to see on these dill plants. So make sure you're coming out and checking your dills regularly to make sure you stay on those tomato hornworms. One more thing I wanted to mention about the tomato hornworms. If you ever have the tomato hornworms and they've got these little white things on the back of them, leave that tomato horn be. Leave it as it is, because essentially on the back of those are little wasp eggs, and those will hatch and then help protect your garden. So make sure you're not removing all pests at all time unless you do your homework first. That's today's video, growers. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got something out of it. I hope you take the chance to get out there to try to stake your tomatoes this year and prune them. I think it will change your tomato growing life. It definitely has for me. It's so nice to go out there when the tomatoes are growing up that nice trellis and just walking out, grabbing a tomato off the vine, as opposed to, you know, digging around the ground, looking for a tomato in the mess when they're all, you know, in the dirt and everything. That's not for me. That's not how I want to do it. If you guys enjoyed the video, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, share with your friends. Don't forget to check out the merch down low, and don't forget, whenever you're on Amazon, use our Amazon affiliate link to start your shopping. It won't cost you anything, and it gives us just a little piece. Me and Tuck will be back to you with another one real soon. We